Team, let's jump right in. Today, I want to talk about Generac because I think there's an exciting opportunity that could be here. First and foremost, I don't currently own this stock. I have no open positions in it. And also, this is just my opinions, not advice in any kind of way. But let's do this. We're watching as the economy is changing in a big way. We see stress in the job market, which means we're likely to see interest rates come down from the Fed. Okay. We can see that solar power is sort of on the cusp of being on the rise, but there's issues with storage. We know that there's still some tailwinds from a macro perspective from the pandemic and inventory ordering and shipping logistics issues that existed there. And what I wanted to do was really look out across the market and identify a player that might be positioned really well, that has market dominance, and also is way down, that could be for a number of reasons and has the potential to come back up. So that really brings me to this idea of Generac. So if you don't know what Generac is a company that makes generators. They are the market leader in this space. They have 70% of the market share. They are well known. It's a household name. In a lot of ways, they are sort of like when I think of a generator, I think Generac personally. But a lot of folks don't necessarily understand the applications and the importance of generators. So what I'm going to do is I want to start really micro. I just want to show you what their website looks like for a second so you understand what I'm talking about as I sort of go out beyond that basic picture here. So first thing we're going to do is switch my screen right here. And this is their website, right? Basic stuff here, right? When power fails, you won't. We get it. Generac is a great business. They sell through dealers. They are a significantly sized business, $6-7 billion market cap. But they got pounded in their share price the past couple of years, down some 70%, give or take. And there has been a bit of a rebound, but I do think that rebound might be a bit early. So just in terms of what we're talking about, right? Standby generators, portable power solutions, solar battery storage. They do EV charging. It's a really strong network, really well known, expert installations through dealers. This is a big deal. For those who know, I run a company called JobGeeves. We actually offer one of our services that we connect with is power generator installations. So we know that there's demand there as well. And this is a big deal because when you think about, well, who needs a generator? I'll give you a great example. Where I live, when it gets to be winter, we lose power all the time. So we need a generator to make sure our power stays on, our heat stays on, our electricity stays on, right? The kitchen, the fridge, everything, you get it. But it's so much more than that. When you think about why and how we use a generator, they have portable generator solutions. They have storage for solar power, right? They even have tools that are run this way. That's the residential side of the business. As we think about that business side, same idea, but that much bigger, right? Large scale industrial generators, right? For entire buildings, for factories, etc. But that same motion, energy storage, mobile power for those big needs, right? I want you to be thinking about this in terms of when it comes to accessing power, the grid goes down all the time across multiple states, be it nor'easters, hurricanes, tornadoes, whatever the case might be. The goal is to make sure those people affected and impacted by those natural disasters are brought back to speed as fast as possible. So I just want to start there with a baseline before I jump into my thesis here, which I think is really the root cause of why I'm considering how I'm going to get involved in this and how I'm going to start to build potentially a position of what I might do there. Before we jump into that, I want to call this out. Power solutions like a Generac are not cheap. You're typically talking thousands to tens of thousands of dollars, or potentially even more if it's a business or commercial need. A local generator being installed in someone's house could be two, three, four, five, $10,000. So typically, a lot of that business is going to be financed. I will tell you firsthand, whenever we see stuff in the mail from local dealers and local installers, they almost always offer some sort of a low interest rate, a long-term interest rate. But those interest rates have been affected by the high interest rates we have from the Fed. So box number one, as those interest rates come down and people are able to borrow at lower rates, I think they are more likely to start seeing some of this backfill actually fill up, right? So where if someone's been waiting to potentially have something installed, or they haven't had the money, interest rates are too high, this might be a mechanism to start kicking that off, right? I might be more comfortable throwing it on a financing plan, even if it's something it's for 5 or 10 years, it might just make more sense on a lower rate. Could be a lot of savings there. The second piece of it as well is with that solar storage perspective, I think that there is a huge unanswered need in the market for power storage, sorry, from solar. Everyone talks about solar and how great it is, but what do we typically hear? And sometimes it's FUD, but it's important to answer the FUD is, well, what about at night? What about when it snows? What about when it's cloudy? I think those are fair questions. Whether they're absolutely true or not, you still want to have an answer for them. And I think having a well-known name brand that does storage is a great call out. I also want to call out the fact that we are persistently seeing extreme weather, hurricanes, tornadoes, etc. And this can be extreme heat, this can be extreme cold. In any event, you want that AC working and you want that heat working. So there's some major keys there of things that have me interested in looking at this. This isn't where my due diligence or research stops, though. So I can see demand, I can see interest rates affecting this. I can see the way we need it for different reasons tied to the weather and those emergency situations. Let's talk about the company for a second. I think one of the biggest things that kind of really stunted their growth was, in fact, the supply chain risk and sort of massive supply that they had put into place. So I want to take you guys back a couple of years here when we understood that there was a pandemic and we thought that there could be significant issues with the supply chain, accessing materials, getting materials up to sites, getting sites up and running. What a lot of companies in this space would do is massively order what they think they're going to need. That means lots of warehouse space with lots of generators sitting on the shelves collecting dust in the hope that they would be able to eventually sell those quickly and get them off the shelf and get them moving. What happened was we didn't really see that massive supply chain breakdown. So we ended up with companies who have bought all this material. It's sitting on the books and it's sitting in a warehouse. You're now insuring it. You're paying for the storage. You have to make sure it's currently moving, which means you might have to offer sales or discounts to get it off the shelf and get new inventory in. What I think we've seen is that Generac has been working through that backlog of inventory. And as we're sort of seeing those shelves get a bit more empty, we finally can see a place where we can get really into that modern inventory, that buying on demand, building on demand, shipping on demand, supplying on demand, so they can better negotiate what they need from a pricing perspective with their dealers for those raw parts to build those machines. Now, secondly to that is when we think about those interest rates, excuse me, interest rates don't just affect the consumer. We also think about when they're buying things, when they have warehouses, when they have shipping needs, what their financing looks like. The ability to potentially refi out of current debt into lower interest debt is huge. That's a big margin expansion item. That's something I'm looking at across the entire macro of companies. So we've got a couple of good reasons here about the consumer side, the business side, the actual business itself side, why they got here, what they're doing. And what I want to call out here, and I would welcome you all to do your own work, is once we have inventory in the right place, we have interest rates slightly lower, we have a consumer that's still strong and still buying, but now able to actually finance at better rates. We know that we still have a reason for generators, not only the standalone power your house, power your building, but all these other options like power storage, small tools, mobile demand for power as well. The question I'm asking myself is, well, what will that do to the stock, right? It's down huge over the past several years, and it has, in fact, actually come up quite a bit from the lows. But my gut tells me, and again, opinion, not fact, my gut tells me we're looking to see this thing continue that rise. I think the demand is there. It's the market leader with the most market share, the most well-known brand, dealers across, you know, as far as the eye can see. I get stuff. I'm only chuckling because I get stuff in the mail all the time from local dealers uh, offering me a Generac installation. So it's not like I'm just reading about this online. I see it in my mailbox on a regular basis. So this is where I really start to dig in. I haven't talked much about the numbers. I haven't gotten there yet, but this is my macro read. I tweeted earlier today about the way you need to think about the questions you're asking based on the macro environment. And you start from the top and you whittle your way down to look for those winners and who fits in the bucket of who will win with interest rates, who will win with strong consumers, who will win when inventory costs are wipe out, who will win with reduced need for warehousing. Those are all items that create margin expansion. Margin expansion creates opportunity. That opportunity creates share price and stakeholder value. Sorry. So I want to just call that out. That's where my thinking is at. I would love to know what you think about this or the way you approach your investing. If you've made it this far in the video, do me a favor. Just say power in the comments below. And this is what I'm working on, team. So I'm going to keep doing deep dive here, and I'm happy to go even deeper if it's something people are interested in. But in the interim, take a look. Let me know what you think. Am I missing something big here? Is there another player I should be thinking about? And I will call out, I know a lot of folks are talking about how Tesla's playing in this space. I don't think that that is a near-term or serious threat in any type of way right now. It doesn't mean that they can't take some market share, but my gut tells me they're more likely to take market share from other players more so than the most dominant player in the market. So with that being said, what I'm looking for is sort of a doubling or more of return over the next year, year and a half, 2 years. Again, I'm not sure that that's going to happen, and I haven't decided how I'm likely to play this yet. So do your own due diligence, but that's where I'm at, team. Thanks so much for watching. Good luck out there.